Hello, ciao, buonasera. Welcome to the next episode of Cook with Amore, Cook with Love, the #1 self-care cooking show on the planet. I'm Paola, I'm your self-care cookery teacher, Italian food expert, and I am here, ladies and gents, to motivate you, yes you, to love yourself with self-care cooking and feel-good deliciousness, because we all need to bring a little bit of balance into our hectic, busy lives. As I know some of you may not always find cooking fun, it can feel like a chore, but that's what I do. I help transform your cooking mindset so that cooking is a desirable, delicious form of self-care rather than that dreaded chore. Right, so today there are two things on today's show. I'm going to be showing you how to make an absolutely gorgeous Italian tomato salad. Let me show you. I promise you my bowl of tomatoes, and I am here with my bowl of tomatoes. Show you how to make a gorgeous tomato salad, giving you all my tips and tricks. I know you're probably thinking, how hard is a tomato salad? Who said that cooking had to be hard and difficult to be delicious and pleasurable? Let me just tell you some simple tips that you can take home, that you can give yourself gorgeous tomato pleasure whenever you please. And secondly, we are going to be talking about seasonal cooking. Yes, this is one of my favourite topics. I've talked about this in the past, but I want to talk about how seasonal cooking can be love. So are we ready? Right, I'm going to be getting on with these tomatoes. As I said, I've got a whole bowl of tomatoes, ladies and gents. And I'm going to say, I am not just using one type of tomato. No, I'm using four different types of tomatoes. I'm going to show you what I'm using. I've got some beautiful large tomatoes on the vine, large ones. We've got nice and juicy. I've also then got, you can see, got these gorgeous little cherry tomatoes on the vine, and then these were on the vine but they've dropped off, these like little pomodorini. And then my favourite, look at these gorgeous yellow little pomodorini. These are so sweet. So we're going to be bringing lots of tomato textures and flavours, because not all tomatoes taste the same, let's remember that. So that's what I was going to say. One of my biggest tips when making tomato salad is, like, if you can, treat yourself to more than one, because it can just make the salad just a much more enjoyable and not such a simple thing to make. It can be fun. But there are two things when it comes to using tomatoes and making the perfect tomato salad. What two things are important? And we are in full tomato season, ladies and gents. Let me remind you, it is tomato season right now. So two things. One thing I always say, when people say to me, what makes a really good tomato salad, is don't choose the best tomatoes you can get your hands on. And I don't want to say like, but you can really tell when a tomato is good. It's juicy, it's bright, it's red. And I always say, like, always buy your tomatoes on the vine. They always have the best flavour, guarantee. You know, you get those little bags with the big tomatoes not on the vine, little cherry tomatoes. Half of those don't taste of anything. Love yourself, and if you can afford it, buy yourself some bougie tomatoes, because it makes a huge difference to your overall salad. Another thing that is really important when you're making a tomato salad, ladies and gents, is don't have them sitting in the fridge, pop them out, cut them up, eat them, and they're like basically cold. It's really important that your tomatoes are at room temperature. It's really hot here in Puglia, so I've had to have my tomatoes in the fridge earlier, but I've taken them out an hour in advance. You want beautifully room temperature tomatoes. You don't want ice cold tomatoes. I'm already telling you, this is already looking friggin' fantastic, guys. Look at that. We've got 3 different tomatoes in there at the moment. Look, I'm getting the yellow ones in now. What do you like in a tomato salad? It's just the perfect thing for the summer, isn't it? It's hot, you don't really want to cook, but you need to feed yourself something with love. And like I said, tomatoes are in season. They are getting harvested as we speak. They are definitely in Italy. I go to my greengrocers and he's got about 6 different tomatoes. Guys, there we go. Give me a thumbs up, let me know what you think. That's making me smile humongously. Look at that, it's absolutely gorgeous. Right, we've done, nearly lost my tomatoes then. Right, tomatoes have been cut. That's the only chopping I'm doing tonight. I'm not going to have you watch me chop because, quite frankly, it's quite boring. But The next thing, there's always this discussion, conversation. When it comes to tomatoes, what's nicer, onion or garlic? Now, I think both. Onion and garlic, both are beautiful ingredients to go with tomatoes. Personally, when it comes to salad, I'm an onion girl. I am an onion girl. And I've had, this is a tropea onion, red tropea onion. This is a very beautiful, sweet onion from southern Italy. And I have just had it sit in salt for the last hour. And this is going in. So I'm adding pickled onion to my salad because I love it. But you can, like I said, you could also add garlic. The way I would probably add garlic is I would probably, when I'm making my dressing, if I'm making a dressing, I would grate the garlic into the olive oil, grate it so it's nice fine and it's more likely to reach more surface area in your tomatoes. Otherwise you're going to get large bits of garlic and not everyone's going to always like that. Okay, so I've got that in. Next thing I want to add in, ladies and gents, is so I'm going to be adding two herbs. I'm going to be adding a dry herb and I'm going to be adding a fresh herb. You may have already guessed what the fresh herb is, but down here we love some good oregano. So I'm going to be adding a little bit of oregano. So a little bit of that. Actually, I'm going to add a little bit more. So like, I am a big lover of dry herbs. I think they're a great store-covered ingredient, and oregano is literally one of my favourites. So I've just added that in. So now I've added a bit of that. The next thing I like in my tomato salad is I like a little bit of saltiness. So we've got the sweet tomato, we've got the pickling of the onion. Now I want to add another flavour profile, because when you combine different flavour profiles, you can make something so magnificent. So today, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to be adding in capers. That is right, I'm adding capers to my tomato salad. So let's get a little spoon out. Oh yeah, add that in. I'm going to add a few in. I'm actually feeding my mum and dad tonight, so I'm making quite a large one. My dad, like me, loves a caper, so let's go a bit wild. Do you know what I mean? What else am I going to add in now? Right, so now I'm pretty happy with the way that is. There's only a few more things I'm going to add to it. So like I said, I love herbs, and there is no doubt that tomato and basil is one of the best flavour combinations of all time. It says summer to me. I absolutely love it. And look, my dad, I asked my dad, I forgot to buy basil this morning, and he managed to get the lady who has the little fruit veg stall to just give me a little bouquet of basil. So he put it in little water for me for today's class, which is very, very cute. So I'm just going to take off a few leaves. The basil stuff you get in like packets in Tesco's, do you know what I mean? This is the real frigging deal, guys. And with basil, like you may have heard me say this before, I don't like cutting it, or chopping it with a knife. I like ripping it with my hands. And now we're adding a little fragrant basil because we can. I'm going to add that in. And then we're nearly done. And then I'm going to add, let's add the salt and pepper first. Ooh, Dave. Now, as you can see, I'm not being tight with my seasoning, and neither should you. One of the most important things of good cooking is just being confident with your seasoning. So, a bit more pepper. And then, someone mentioned it before, good extra virgin olive oil is so important. This is where I also would say, treat yourself. Get some nice cold pressed extra virgin olive oil. It is like liquid gold, and you can taste the difference. And let me just tell you, you deserve to have amazing extra virgin olive oil, especially in a salad, because that's when you should really be using extra virgin olive oil, is in like marinade, salad dressings, that sort of stuff. But as you can see, I am just free and pouring it in like there's no tomorrow. Right, I think that is it. There is one other thing I've just literally thought of. I've gone rogue. I'm like, oh, there is a couple of other things. Oh no, there is another thing that I was going to add to this. Oh my God, I can't believe I completely forgot. I'm going to get it out of the fridge now. These are, let me actually show you. Oh, this is going to be hilarious, isn't it? I'm not going to be able to get this bag open. Oh my goodness, and my hands are all sweaty. Right, so we've got the basics there. We've got the tomatoes, we've got the capers, we've got the herbs, we've got the basil, we've got the onions, olive oil. This is fantastic how it is. Now, if you want to take it up another notch, if you want to make yourself a meal that's going to satisfy you even more, there's only one thing for it, and we all know it's a much loved dish in many Italian restaurants across the UK. But when you have mozzarella and tomato, it's a fantastic situation. And I've got these, I don't know if you can see, these are called nodino. It's a type of mozzarella, I like turn it into a knot. So, I'm just going to do it. I am going to just tear it up. I'm going to add that in now, and that is my salad. Sometimes I like to add greens, so sometimes I like to add spinach to it. Basically, a tomato salad should be a personal thing. Make it the way that you love to eat it and enjoy it. But I hope this little dish today may have given you some extra ideas, some other things you could potentially add to your tomato salad just to make it a little bit more exciting, feel good, pleasurable. Do something a little bit different. I always like to change things up because it keeps things exciting. So, let's have a little look. It's so good. I don't know what I do want to add though. One little tiny little thing. Just a little bit of lemon juice. Tiny little bit of acidity. Sometimes I like to put vinegar into my tomato salad, but I didn't want to put anything too strong. Little droplets of lemon juice. That's all I'm going to need. And that is going to be perfect. So, that is today's tomato salad. So just to recap, quality, room temperature, quality tomatoes, pickled onions, capers for saltiness, oregano for a little bit of like an earthy herb. We've got basil for a bit of fresh, like a freshness herb. We have got really good quality extra virgin olive oil. Be confident with your seasoning, and then you can add anything else that you really want. And like I said, I've added some mozzarella here for a little bit of bouginess. Give that a little bit of je ne sais quoi, do you know what I mean? And I will be eating that later. I've got a little bit of bread, which if you soak it in, have you ever soaked bread into the juices of a tomato salad? It's so good. Oh my God. All right, you didn't come here to watch me eat. So, I want to talk about seasonal cooking and how it can be loved. So first of all, seasonal cooking. What is it? So seasonal cooking is the selection, cooking and eating of ingredients that are in season. And not just in season, I think it's really important that we eat seasonal local produce. So produce grown and harvested in your own country. Because believe it or not, I think a lot of people are surprised that not all ingredients are grown all year round. And I think one of the reasons is that back in the UK, we are so reliant on these big mega stores, superstores, where you have such an amazing wide range of ingredients, vegetable, fruit. Half of those ingredients are usually flown across the world. And to be honest, it's not very sustainable. It's not very good for the carbon footprint. And so I feel like in the UK, we've just got used to having these same ingredients all year round, not bringing really much excitement. While out in here in Italy, it is their bread and butter. Eating seasonally is a non-negotiable. It's so important, which just reiterates and highlights how important cooking and eating well is so important to their everyday food culture. And that's why so many of us love Italian food, because there is so much more variety. There is so much joy in loving that cooking, and it makes us so happy. But seasonal cooking is a fundamental way of approaching their food every day. And for me, I know from my own personal experience, when I had my own cooking journey, my personal self-care cooking journey start 12 years ago, I know that when I started to introduce seasonal cooking into my own life, cooking started to feel different. It didn't feel like a job that I had to do. It didn't feel like a chore. And it really helped me to reconnect with my food, with myself, and bring that joy that I needed in my life. So today, ladies and gents, I want to share with you 3 to 4 ways that seasonal cooking can be loved. Seasonal cooking is something that I've introduced to my members in my self-care cooking community, and it's one of the important concepts in there to help them bring variety. I'm going to start telling you now 4 ways that seasonal cooking can be loved. Number 3 and 4 are actually my favourite, but 1 and 2, I'm going to start off with like the more simple, straightforward stuff, just to kind of ease you in slowly. So I think it's a concept in the UK that the government doesn't really support it that much. We don't really talk about it. The whole world, if you think about it, we live in a world where convenience is now a priority over quality because we live in such a fast-paced life. And I do think it's a little bit sad in some ways that because cooking and dinner has become a bit of an inconvenience, people are just trying to find quick solutions, and we're disconnecting ourselves from the joy and the love that cooking can bring. And I feel like for some people it's really affected their enjoyment of the whole cooking process. So that's why I want to share these 4 things today about how seasonal cooking can be loved. Did you know that seasonal produce is higher in nutrients than non-seasonal produce? So as I was saying, seasonal cooking, when you use seasonal produce, it is so high in nutrients. When it's harvested and picked, it's at that point is when it's the best for us. So if you're eating produce that is flown across the world, it's not going to have as much nutrients than if you were to buy local produce from your local area. And to me, knowing that you are eating seasonally with high nutrients is love, because you are making sure that you are feeding your body and your mind with the best things, and it can really help your overall improvement of your well-being. So that is number 1. Keep it really simple. It is better for you nutritionally. I know from next point number 2 though, as well as it being full of nutrients, when you enjoy seasonal produce, you can tell a huge difference in the flavour. Now, how many of you have been to Europe, maybe, have been to the Mediterranean and have always said, oh, a tomato in Italy doesn't taste like a tomato back home? It's because again, tomatoes are available all year round in the UK, which I think is mad, and it's only really meant to be in the summer season. But also, like, cooking with seasonal produce is love. Because when you're using seasonal produce, your meals are going to be so full, packed with flavour, and you can have all these vibrant colours on your dish. And you are basically saying to yourself, I love you. Because you are cooking yourself a pleasurable, delicious plate of food. And I think that's something that we all deserve. So that is point number 2. Point number 3 is my favourite point of all time. It's actually, and I have talked about this so many times, but I want to ask you guys, the guys that are on here, how many of you are sometimes guilty of always cooking the same meals over and over again? Whether it's July or January, are there certain meals that always are your go-to because it's more convenient? Because let me tell you, seasonal cooking can bring that creativity back in the kitchen. Honestly, it's so, so key. And the reason why is because different ingredients are available all throughout the year. We're talking about seasonal cooking gets you cooking new recipes, trying different flavour combinations. And guys, that is love. This is why, this is like my favourite point, because seasonal cooking brings variety. Variety brings excitement. And you know what they say, variety is the spice of life. So when you're cooking seasonally, your cooking repertoire expands, so you're not always cooking the same meals over and over and over again. And also you're developing better cooking skills because you're using different ingredients throughout the years. You're not always cooking the same old thing because of convenience. And let me tell you guys, you deserve to change things up. You deserve to bring excitement in the kitchen. I know a lot of us struggle with time and energy, but like I've been showing you on this cooking show and a lot of my recipes that I've been sharing over the years, it doesn't have to be hard, it doesn't have to be time consuming, it doesn't have to involve a lot of ingredients. Simple food, to me, is like the key to everyday happiness. And to that, getting to my final point, number 4, seasonal cooking helps you connect with your food. So last week I talked about when we finish cooking, sometimes we spend all this time cooking and then we don't really connect with our food. And connecting with our food is really important, and seasonal cooking can do exactly the same thing. It helps you have a more mindful approach to cooking and eating. Why? So if you think about it, you're making this conscious effort that you want to eat more seasonally. So you are being more conscious within yourself. You then have a greater appreciation for the food that you are cooking and you are eating. And let me tell you guys, seasonal cooking, if you think about it, by adding that extra thought process into your approach to cooking, you are slowing down in some way. You're kind of saying like, F you to the man. Because you're taking a moment, do you know what? I'm going to think about my food. I want to eat some good gorgeous seasonal cooking, I'm going to slow down, I'm going to be present, and I'm going to enjoy the cooking process. And to me, ladies and gentlemen, that is why I feel like seasonal cooking is love. It's full of nutrients, it's full of flavour, it can bring variety and creativity into our life, that just can bring that joy, excitement and happiness that we all deserve, and we can connect again with our cooking. Appreciate what we're putting into our body, appreciate the time that we're spending in the kitchen, loving ourselves, cooking delicious food. And that is my last final point that I wanted to make today about seasonal cooking. So we've made a gorgeous tomato salad and we've talked about seasonal cooking. Before I go, there are just two things I want to say. I have a free guide. If you still haven't downloaded it, download it. It is my 12 essential self-care ingredients, and the majority of them are all store cupboard pantry ingredients, which I think is a great companionship to seasonal cooking. Because if you've got a few fresh ingredients and your store cupboard is kitted out with all the essentials, you have got a plethora of recipes and dishes that you can make. And that free guide there is a link in my bio, so you can download it there. And number two, you may have already heard that the Self-Care Cooking Club is launching in September. I'm super excited. So if you are someone who is thinking, do you know what, I need to introduce more self-care in my life, I would like to start self-care cooking, I would like to find a space that motivates me, that supports me, accountability, as well as learning dishes like this. There's a little bit more that goes into the dishes that I teach online, teach you tips, hacks, and just genuinely, it's a really great community. Or if you're someone who already is doing self-care cooking, but you want to spend more time and meet more like-minded people, self-care food enthusiasts, the Self-Love Cooking Club is for you. So the link is also in my bio. And I'm going to go on that note. Thanks to everyone who joined me today. I really appreciate it. It was very hot here. So I'm about to open the doors and let the air in, and I'm going to enjoy my tomato salad. So on that note, guys, I'll be back. I think I'll be back either next week or the week after. I might be doing these a little bit more often. I'll see how I get on. But thanks again, and see you very soon.